Hey guys, so today I'm reviewing Symphony X, The Divine Wings of Tragedy. Now this album is from 1997, it was their third studio album, and it's one of my favorites. Not only one of my favorite albums of theirs, one of my favorite albums of all time. This probably ties with Shadow Gallery Tyranny as my favorite album of all time. So, yeah, I felt that it was this album, their third one, where they started to really get their sound together. Like the first and second albums, the tracks on those tended to be quite a melange of different sounds. And this one is the album where I feel their sounds really came together well. So I don't really know if I'm saying much, but yes. So let's just talk about the tracks, and then, you know, as I normally do, I'll give a like a summary at the end, and an overall score as well. So the first track of Sins and Shadows. It's a good opening track. It's a solid opening track, right? I love the bell synth in this. Now there are some people who say you shouldn't put synth and, you know, bell synth in metal, and I'm totally against that. I think that it belongs, and it can be used beautifully and powerfully, like Symphony X does. And if you listen to my music, you'll know that I might overdo the bell synth a little bit, but I think it goes well with metal guitar. I love it. Yeah. Now look, this is progressive metal. I tried to analyze the lyrics, but it's either too poetic for me, I'm just not cultured enough, or perhaps you're not supposed to understand the lyrics of progressive metal, because I really didn't understand any of the lyrics in this album. Not really. Yeah, anyway, second track, Sea of Lies. Now this is the most famous, I suppose you could say. You know, if someone asks you for a song by Symphony X, most people are going to say, or expect you to say, Sea of Lies. That's the famous track, isn't it? And probably because it's got that famous solo in it, the two-handed tapping solo. You know the one, right? And you can even see Michael Romeo in his instructional video, in the guitar chapter, as he's doing that tapping run, almost as if he's saying, oh, here we go again. Because he's probably done it, you know, tens of thousands of times. So yes, probably the most iconic song by the band, arguably, right? I love the delicate, like, piano synth behind the chorus. I like picking out the minutiae of songs like this. Right, so let's just move on to the next one. Sorry if I'm just reading things off. I wrote down a lot of notes, so this helps me keep place. Out of the Ashes is the third track. This starts off with a powerful neoclassical section. I absolutely love this one. It was the inspiration behind my 20,000 subscriber special. So check that out if you haven't already. It's very much like Out of the Ashes. I deliberately made it like that because I was so inspired by this track. Yeah, Out of the Ashes, it has my favorite solo off this album, The Divine Wings of Tragedy. But the chorus, I could do without. I hate the chorus. There you are. That's my opinion on that. Track number 4. This is a treat. The Accolade. Without doubt, my favorite track on the album. Maybe my favorite track by Symphony X in their entirety. So, yeah, really, this is progressive metal at its finest. I love this track so much. So, the track is obviously talking about a Knight of the Templar. Now, this is one of the songs where I'm not so uncultured that I can't figure out the meaning. So, yeah, it's about a Knight of the Templar, and at about 6 minutes and 20 seconds in, there's an organ playing which I think symbolizes the death of the character. And sure enough, there's a lyric not long after that which says, the sword falls forever from his hands. So yes, obviously it's about another Templar. He does all this crazy stuff and then he gets killed. And then this is, it's picked up again, the idea is picked up again in Accolade 2. Which I think is on the Odyssey. which is another album by them, 2002, I think. Anyway, so yeah, favorite track off the album, no doubt about it. Track number 5, Pharaoh. So I love the riffing in this, powerful, heavy riffing, and it's got that synth behind it, nice and simple synth, which really outlines that Phrygian dominant mode. So you instantly get this depiction, well, this westernized depiction of Egypt, don't we? Which is what they're going for, and it delivers very well. Yeah, and the quality of the vocals, so not only how good they are, but how well they're delivered. The quality of the vocals in the chorus, it brings so much power to the track. I really appreciate those vocals. Track number 6, The Eyes of Medusa. Again, this is another example of riffing that I love. And the interplay that exists between the riffing and the synth as well. Because they're both just kind of playing along, but they're doing different things. And every now and then they'll come back in time with each other, and then they'll go off on a tangent, and then they'll come back again. Just playing over the bars, deliberately composed like that. I love the interplay between riffing and synth, especially in this track, The Eyes of Medusa. Now I don't really like the break towards the end, where it breaks down into that like romantic style of classical music. But Michael Romeo has confessed that he likes that romantic style of classical music, so it's not surprising that he'd include a bit of that here or there. Track number 7, The Witching Hour. Although this is my least favourite track on the album, I of course still love it. So even their bad songs are still really good. And even that's not fair. Like it's still a really good track. I don't know what I'm saying. Okay. Track number 8, The Divine Wings of Tragedy. Now, this is the big one. This is nearly 21 minutes long, I think. So this is the eponymous track here. And it starts off with this grand a cappella of Russell Allen just layering his vocals on top of each other and out of time with each other, a cappella. Anyway, it's all very grand and like choir-like. It sets the scene for what's going to be an amazing, long, progressive metal track with twists and turns. So the intro is nice and strong. And then, okay, get this, right? There's the opening riff after the a cappella. And it's also the closing riff towards the end of the song as well. When I heard this for the first time, I immediately knew where I'd heard it before. Okay, have you heard of Gustav Holst? He was a composer from a long time ago. He did a series of classical compositions called The Planets, where he made a piece of music for each of the planets. And at that time, they were considered to be 7 planets. And there was one track called Mars, the Bringer of War. So the track that he had dedicated to the planet Mars. And it starts, well, it's eerily similar to the opening of The Divine Wings of Tragedy. It's so very similar, in fact, I don't think it's a mistake. Symphony X was clearly not only inspired by Gustav Holst, the Mars, Bringer of War track, but I think in a way this is almost like a dedication to it. And here's some further evidence for that. About halfway through The Divine Wings of Tragedy, or slightly after halfway, I can't quite remember. There's a lyric in there when it's all picking up the pace, and he says, the Bringer of War. So I thought that's a little bit more than coincidence, that the opening and the closing riff was just like the Mars track, and then they even mention the Bringer of War in the lyrics. So yeah, have that little Easter egg there. I was pretty pleased when I came across that, to know that these guys, Symphony X, have been listening to Gustav Holst, from 1916 or whenever it was. So there we go, very cool. Is this the thing? Yeah, track 9 is the final track, Candlelight Fantasia. So, The opening for this is the only time I've ever heard anyone besides myself use the Romanian scale. Now, if you're mode savvy, you'll know that that's the fourth mode of the harmonic minor scale. So yeah, if you think that that sounds quite weird, then that's why it sounds weird. It's the Romanian scale, and chances are you probably haven't heard it anywhere else except in this song, Candlelight Fantasia, or some of my stuff if you've heard me playing in the Romanian scale. Anyway, the track meaning. Okay, now I didn't actually infer any of this. I looked it up. The track meaning, according to one of the band members, and sorry, I can't remember off the top of my head who they were. The track meaning is, well, it's this. Candlelight Fantasia is about a aspiring musician just shut away working hard and feeling underappreciated by the world, or feeling ignored by the world. So yeah, and then when you listen to it and you pay attention to the lyrics, you can kind of get that. But then again, I kind of can't. There's a lot of other lyrics in there just making it complicated. But hey, progressive metal, right? They can be as poetic as they like. So, oh yeah, and there's a gorgeous tapping lick in this. 4 minutes and 46 seconds into the track, Candlelight Fantasia. Yeah, it's an aggressive tapping lick. I loved it so much that I tabbed it out and learned it. And that is lick 41. So if you want to learn that lick in Candlelight Fantasia, go and check out my lick lesson, number 41. So those are all the tracks on this album. And right, let's give it an overall summary and a score rating, shall we? First of all, let me say, as I said, this is one of my favorite albums of all time, if not my favorite. And just to prove it, there is the Divine Wings of Tragedy patch on my denim jacket. So you know I'm serious. You know I mean business. Yeah, so, let's just do this now. Okay, 5 out of 5 stars. All right, let's stop messing around. And, of course, for me to give something 5 out of 5 stars, I have to love every single track. That's just a requisite. And I certainly do. I love every track on this album. It inspired my playing an awful lot, especially my neoclassical stuff. Yeah, and I also appreciate that the band isn't afraid to use synth, because as I said, I love the use of synth in metal. I love it. So yeah, I hope you liked my review on the Divine Wings of Tragedy. If by some miracle you haven't listened to this album already, I urge you to go and do it right now. So yeah, cheers.